Welcome back, my dear friends. Finally, we can continue after the account was hacked. Oh yes, I keep things exciting on this channel. So if you see Donald Trump or Elon Musk videos again, they're not from me. But back to the perfect world of our Dryos. Unfortunately, this little guy is being taken off the server I always play on, so I'm dedicating this extra long gameplay to him to show what a huge mistake that was. And we begin our journey in the way we like to do it, with a traumatic experience. I'm carrying a cute bar family, and look what a little sweetheart this baby is. It even gives away flowers. And of course, some talentless group has to try to hunt down a hatchling again. It takes incredible talent to slaughter a baby dinosaur with several people. And the best part is that they wanted to eat me afterwards. Their little microbe brains must have realized that a hatchling disappears immediately. Of course, they don't dare go near the parent. Only the small, defenseless dinosaurs are pursued. I don't want to sound dramatic, but I hope they all rot in hell. So, once again, the great quest began. I also got my hands on a trophy. But let's be honest, it's wasted on me. So I looked for someone who could use it more than I could, and found a Theri. And the dishonorable Alios. Nice. At least there are some nice encounters in the game, even if they are few and far between. And today, we have another addition in the form of a familiar comrade. Mission plays his Lurdu, and I try to scout the area like a little agent. And then I saw a Gragria, with a fat carnivore stalking it, and I knew immediately that it was going to attack. But since I interpret the rule to mean that if you're faster, you can still invite him, I did so without further ado. And this little Choco Scone will be with us for quite a while. It took a while for the carnivore to find his eggs again, but eventually he attacked. Maybe the Gragria shouldn't have pursued him so relentlessly, but well, it's too late for that now. And so a battle ensued, in which I, as a little sausage, naturally did my best to help. We were a really good team, and our opponent was, to put it respectfully, very stupid. He focused entirely on the only semi-aquatic dinosaur in the team, who, of course, ran to the water, as you might expect. Incidentally, I found out afterwards that, as a Dryo, I should only have been allowed to help up to mid-tier, so you can save yourself the ticket. I know what's what. In the end, it was unnecessary back and forth, and the guy just didn't want to leave. Later, he said that we should stop harassing him. It's not like he started the fight 20 times. I really love it when carny players like to be aggressive, but find it very surprising when you want to fight back. And then something happened that I didn't expect. Hell Chicken just used us as a magical shield wall and then left the group. So it was just Mission and me. Then we found a Bona, but because of the senseless rule that you can't have multiple different low tiers in mixed herds, we couldn't form a group. It makes sense because a Bona, a Lurdu, and a Dryo would form an indestructible unit. That wouldn't be fair, of course, but Duck kindly switched to his Dryo so that we could play together after all. Greetings to you, my friend. We then brought him to us via Waystone and made the savannah unsafe. We found two Sarahs, who turned out to be relatively unfriendly idiots, and shortly afterwards, we had a new candidate who wanted to challenge us. Once again, the mission was the extremely delicious-looking target. It's really amusing how many carnivores think they can catch a semi-aquatic dinosaur in the water. Do these people also jump into lakes to catch fish with their bare hands? By the way, I didn't get involved here. As we can see, I took the rule seriously. At some point, he gave up and made his way to the shark body. Even though the two Sarahs had just wanted us to keep a safe distance, they now kept coming close to us. Our little duck friend then revealed a small Rex hiding from the Sarahs. I didn't really begrudge the Sarahs, especially since two Sarahs against a baby T-Rex isn't particularly fair. But the little one did well, though he couldn't avoid the inevitable. And then I spotted another baby T-Rex that was obviously not present. A little capro bit its foot. And yes, I know that it's not allowed to help the little one, but I don't think it's right to attack people who aren't there. Not everyone just logs out. Some people can lose their connection, and it's not very empathetic to attack someone who can't defend themselves, especially since capros can eat any crap and don't need this kill. Shortly afterwards, a group of carnos attacked us. As usual, they wanted the juicy lurdu, but they didn't shy away from biting our little thighs either. Since carnos are considered mid-tier, I was allowed to help out actively here. And of course, they wanted to eat the lurdu again. Unfortunately, my selfless attempt to save Duck turned into a suicide mission. I should have just run away and hidden, but since I'm only a small Dryo, it won't take me long to grow back to full size. Reunited with my group, I immediately set about restoring my growth. In the middle of it, I was briefly harassed. I haven't died often enough yet. Our group then split up after the restart. Duck left us, leaving only Mission and me. However, I just wanted to grow my Dryo back up again. But then the wild party started again. Mission became the target of the greedy carnivores again, and once more I was not allowed to help. Can we please discuss how unnecessary this rule is? I hardly do any damage anyway, so why am I not allowed to fight? Because it's unrealistic? Oh, okay. But it's okay that a Hats isn't allowed to attack from the air because it enhances the gameplay, and is still completely unrealistic? Mission managed to run down the hill, and since these two chubby creatures aren't very fast, he was safe. Our dear friends were then pursued, but unfortunately, this T-Rex wasn't motivated enough to put an end to it all. What a shame. I would have felt great schadenfreude. Well, you can't always get what you want. When I returned the next time, I not only met Mission again, who already had someone on the team, but also 3 cute baby mapes. Let's hope it doesn't start again like last time when we saw the babies. I tried to express my affection with prey, but unfortunately it was lying so awkwardly in the grass that none of the little ones came to me to eat it. Our group dynamics were a bit difficult. However, it's an advantage that I'm so small and fast, because that way I can always see if there's any danger lurking somewhere. Why the hell does a baby always have to be in danger as soon as I'm around? Is it some kind of special curse or something? Within the team, we continued to go our separate ways. Literally. We set off for Grand Plains, but I couldn't take the same route as the other two, so I traveled alone for most of the time. A fight with a baby capro broke out relatively quickly. At first, the two wanted to ignore it, but this little bastard really had it in for us. After the restart, we added another person to our team, and from then on, things really started to go downhill for me. We built a nest, and I helped, of course. But while I was taking a short lunch break, a Hats snatched me. You can actually free yourself with a kick. Joke's on me, that didn't work. Mission tried to catch me, but unfortunately, it didn't work. That sneaky winged creature had destroyed me. I was then invited back into the group. I started questing again, but then the group just moved on. Of course, Mission waited for me, but the other two left both me and him behind. We caught up with them again, and shortly afterwards a fight broke out. The Lourdes fled into the water, and I continued questing, because I'm not allowed to help with Apex anyway. And now it gets really wild. After Mission left the group, I was completely ignored. They didn't care where I was, or whether I was in the group. Yes, okay, I'm not Lurdu, but Samsung knew that from the start. Maybe he just wanted to get rid of me. Then they came up with a plan to swim to an island, so they deliberately left me behind. I understood the hint immediately and left the group. Ungrateful rats. Back in the old neighborhood, I met two Theris. They were quite taken with my cuteness and fawned over me. A third Theri joined us, and everyone was very friendly. A little too friendly. We should make a game out of how often I die here. Better not take alcohol or other drugs for that. Just treat yourself to a chocolate bar every time. That makes more sense. And who would have thought? Of course, I have to quest again. Goodness. This game is all about dying and questing. At least the landscape is very beautiful, even though I keep facing my inevitable death. The Theris were then attacked, and although they accidentally killed me, I didn't want them to die. But they actually survived. But when no one else crossed my path, I decided to take another chance and made my way to Grand Plains. After all, watching battles is more exciting than doing nothing. But then my original task came back to me, delivering trophies. And finally, I found my absolute favorite dinosaurs in the savannah. 2 Anos. Wonderful. It couldn't be better. It's not scary at all that this trophy is simply the entire neck and head. I always watch people from a distance, like a stalker. But in this case, that was a good thing. The little Ano couldn't find the entrance, so I showed him the way. Mission successfully completed. And of course, it was Dirty Capros again who had to destroy the happiness. Honestly, the next gameplay I edit, I'll be the Capro Destroyer. These creatures get on my nerves so much. Mission then joined the group, and I was back at rock bottom again. We then decided to help little Anos, because the baby had already died 3 times that evening. I know this gameplay is actually about Dryo, but come on, we can't just leave these little potatoes alone. It wasn't exactly safe in the savannah, so we decided to move our stinky little feet elsewhere. The 2 were really sweet, so we quested our way through all the areas. It was going almost too well. We had no fights, no disturbances, everyone was nice. I was just waiting for the downfall, but the good times weren't interrupted, only by the end of our time together. By the way, wait until the end, there's a little cinematic. So now I'm back to being Dryo, chasing after someone who tried to eat me a moment ago, and even though it was just a little joke on my part, I annoyed him enough that he wanted to kill me. Some people really do have fragile egos. Unfortunately, this idiot was luckier than he was smart, so I couldn't enjoy his death because I lost interest in chasing him. And what do we do with Dryo when we're bored? Exactly. We steal a trophy and look for a baby. And I actually found someone. I don't think we can count him as a baby, but if he needs her, that's okay with me. Mission also rejoined the group, and we hoped for a bit of action in the savannah. And suddenly, it really took off. But only briefly, and not very exciting. The 2 lost interest relatively quickly when they realized that Mission wasn't served on a plate with a delicious sauce. And then a Quetzal wanted to get to know me. He probably didn't really notice that we were right next to a cave, or did he think I liked to die and would just wait outside until he ate me? Mission then gave him a good beating, and I wondered at times whether he had infinite health or whether a Lurdu didn't do enough damage. In the end, he stayed for a while, but didn't attack again. I then handed out another trophy, as is my mission in this game as Santa Father Dryo. And then a Megalania came along, and she was after Mission, like all the dinos in this game. Unfortunately, I couldn't help much here, but Mission rocked it all on its own. He almost knocked me out, too. And immediately after that, the next round started. Actually, as always, the goal was Mission D. But when I kept biting the little one on the butt, the mother became alert and focused on me. I highly doubt I caused any real damage, but a little annoyance is enough for me. When I logged in again the next day, it was dark, and I couldn't see who was hiding in the undergrowth. But it quickly became clear that this person wasn't friendly. And so we battled for a while, but let's be honest, my chances of defeating a T-Rex, even a subadult, aren't particularly good. So I broke off the fight, ran toward hot springs, and suddenly heard very loud footsteps. There were 2 crocodiles on their way to the swamp, and a small T-Rex. My first thought was that I was probably the same one from before, but I was wrong. And so our beautiful Todd and Copper story began. Without speaking to each other, we simply knew we belonged together. And so we set out on a long, friendly journey through this vast map. I showed him quest items, and as if by a miracle, he always immediately understood what I wanted. When we were about to go to the watering hole, there were 2 apex standing there. I ran down, shook my head, and he immediately knew there was some kind of danger lurking up there. Let's be honest. What teammate is that observant? I've either only had complete idiots on my team so far, or he's just the chosen one. In any case, we were a great team. It was incredibly fun raising the little T-Rex. In Green Hills, we met another T-Rex, and even though I didn't know what they were saying, I knew it. He negotiated that he shouldn't eat me and that I belonged to the group. I watched this gameplay again weeks later, and I'm still impressed by how incredibly well it went. And so, I was welcomed into this larger herd. But it gets even better. When I saw an enemy, I let out an alarm call, and that actually worked. My child was immediately alert. Unfortunately, the enemy had already seen him and couldn't be surprised. No lunch for my baby. As a little Dryo, you can't really be in better company than with 2 giant T-Rex bodyguards. Although to this day, I wonder if he would have intervened if someone had tried to eat me. And unfortunately, it was time for me to say goodbye. I was actually a little sad. I won't lie, but it was one of the best gameplay experiences I've had so far. Thank you, my T-Rex children. And as bittersweet as the farewell was, I knew that things could only get worse from here. At first, it hit me right in the heart that I was still in the same place where I had said goodbye. But my beloved children were missing, and it wouldn't leave me alone, so I looked to see if I could find my child. Because the day before, I couldn't add him as a friend. Since he wasn't online, unfortunately, my life had to go on without him. So I tried to create a nice thumbnail image first, and then I came across a small herd. Unfortunately, they couldn't add me because, as explained before, a Dryo would maximize the strength of a group so enormously that it would border on cheating. I tried to take cute pictures of the little herd to show you at the end of the video. Stalker mode activated. And then I decided to look for a trophy for little Amarga. On the way, I carried 2 large chickens and exchanged a few cute moments with them. It took a while, but then I found the patches. And where there are patches, there are Amargas. I decided to accompany the little bastard to his home cave. I can't do much, but it makes me feel good to know if someone survives. The little one made it into the cave, and now it gets weird again. He came out, he went back in, and suddenly the entire herd had logged out. It appeared to be a collective departure from the game. On my way, I saw an EO being attacked, and unfortunately it fell off the cliff, which sealed its fate. It had been performing quite well up until that point. I grabbed its trophy and immediately set out to search for a new baby. We're noticing a pattern in my Dryo game. It just makes me happy to make others happy. I don't know why. I remembered the giant chickens, and sure enough, they had had a baby in the meantime. Seeing such tiny baby dinosaurs really warms my heart. And suddenly, an aloe thought to itself how incredibly delicious I looked. The fight went on for quite a while, but surprisingly, I didn't kill the aloe. I spotted another potential trophy and heard a crocodile. Unfortunately, the little carnivore didn't seem to hear it, so I waited to see if the crocodile was as predictable as I thought. And yes, it was. So I quickly went down and stole the trophy. The little giant chicken was still on cooldown, so I set off to find someone else. And today, everything is going like clockwork. And here, too, I had to make sure that the little one arrived safely. Mama Anna, always there when needed. And then I encountered another family. Unfortunately, I didn't have a trophy with me, but let's soak up their cuteness anyway. I'm always worried that carnivorous birds will want to feed me to their young. But this time, I was lucky. I would have loved to get this little worm a trophy too, but it was time for me to end the day and the game. In Green Hills, the party started up again right away. One of these players was the person I hate the most in the whole game, but unfortunately, he didn't die. Why is it that I never get to kill people who are assholes, but only people who are nice? I grabbed the trophy and brought it to an adolescent dinosaur, but he probably thought, I can get 2 trophies for the price of 1, and without further ado, he ripped my head off. I was appropriately triggered. Looking back, Catet apologized, but maybe you just don't bite on everything that isn't up a tree by the count of 3? Back in Green Hills, a few Spinos wanted to be friendly, but I didn't feel like dying again at the hands of a psychopath. When I wrote this in the chat, Catet had to put in her 2 cents again. Catet, honestly, respectfully, shut up. The next trouble was also on its way. I heard wings behind me, and that never means anything good. And sure enough, he was after me. Thankfully, I was near the trees, and the grass was quite tall. Otherwise, my cards wouldn't have looked very good. I left that godforsaken place and had to slowly start growing out again. In between, someone tried to eat me again, and when I was fully grown again, I just watched the fights in Green Valley. And finally, a supposed rule break was simply ended by another player. And another attack. My goodness. In the end, I can't do much anyway. My damage output is too low for that. If it were 1 Utah, okay. But with 2, it gets more difficult again. In the end, I was able to save myself with a breakneck maneuver. And so, I got another trophy. Was it really a good idea to do an extra long feature on the Dryo, where I just die, raise T-Rex babies, and deliver trophies? And this time, the trophy stayed with me for quite a while. Mission joined us in the meantime, but despite that, I just couldn't find anyone. And suddenly, 2 hats were after us. Probably more after my little bread box, but still. The fight went on for quite a while, and the hats just couldn't kill either of us, so they simply looked for a new target. However, this was while we were still actively fighting. So, a rule break. The guy just wrote, "We were hungry." Oh, fine. Then play better instead of breaking the rules. After this not entirely unnecessary battle, I tried again to get rid of the trophy. Mission's presence slowed us down, and many people wanted to take a bite out of him. Of course, that's not his fault, but it does delay the search considerably. But finally, there was a glimmer of hope on the horizon. A baby stego. A bit macabre, because it's a stego plate. And no sooner was the trophy gone than someone wanted to eat Mission again. Unfortunately, he managed to escape, so we couldn't put an end to his arrogance. We also had a new member who wanted to build a nest. Unfortunately, he was a bit cautious in fights, because he didn't seem to know the rules very well. Soon the time came, and our first baby hatched. Since we are a mixed herd, it would also be the last. Our amp friend was a little overconfident. This was the perfect opportunity to show what a great fighter he is. The only really meaningful task I have in such fights is to heal my team members, and that's what I did. But as is often the case, someone has to fall. And in this case, it was me again. My death didn't bother Ampelos at all, so I logged out. Thanks for your sympathy anyway. Next time, the Super Ninja Amp will surely be able to clear the camps on its own. On the last day, my goal was to outgrow my Dryo again. Well, I had to, because tomorrow he'll be gone anyway. On my way, I found an Iggy. Mission and I are compatible, so we invited our new member to join us. On our way to meet up with Mission, we found an Amarga. We invited him too, and now things are getting really spectacular again. Danger there. Amarg too close. I Waystone. But Ano wants Waystone too. Collect mushrooms for Waystone. Iggy wants leadership because they lost sight of each other. Ano uses Waystone. I pay 2K for Waystone. I pay 4K for Waystone. Finally, everyone is together. Questing. Then an attack happens. Fellow players don't help, just watch. Mission writes, run away. Fellow players don't move, don't help either. I lose faith in humanity. Enemy leaves. Another attack. This time, help arrives. Enemy dead. Florian takes the trophy to the home cave. Iggy drinks. Iggy runs off. Iggy eats. Iggy leaves the group without saying a word. Florian never returns. Mission had to go to bed. And so my last day as Dryo ends with a group full of ungrateful idiots. And with that, we bid farewell to Dryo and look back on a wonderful last month and 18 hours of gameplay.
Breathing feels like I'm lucid dreaming. I'm not usually the type to rush into the night. This time I can't be speeding. I'm taking it slow, but I just want more. I'm taking it slow, just go with the flow. I'm taking I'm taking